Hello and welcome to the show that is all about the restoration of model trains. All of these models have been mistreated, worn out, or else just left to rot. My job is to make them look presentable and also get them working so that these forgotten models can be enjoyed once again. But there is a catch. Each repair job has a time limit, and that is decided by the all-knowing Time-O-Matic machine. If the time runs out before the repairs are complete, then the trains will be left to the mercy of the evil scrap man. Welcome back to Salvage or Scrap. Well, we are back for another brand new episode. So let's take a look at this season's remaining trashed trains, desperate diesels, and fractured fireboxes. These engines have all seen far better days. Today's locomotive is a lovely vintage Triang Princess Victoria locomotive, and it cost me £23. And this loco dates from sometime during the 1960s. This one really is a great looking classic model, but let's take a closer look at it. Cosmetically, this loco is still in great shape. It's one of the cleanest engines of this series, and I suspect it spent most of its years stored safely inside its box. The previous owner even fitted finer bogie wheels, which I think look great. On closer inspection though, there are some minor cosmetic issues. There are patches of paint missing from the smoke box, from the running plate, and also from the buffers, and I've noticed that the tender is missing its couplings. Cosmetically, this locomotive is excellent, and it shouldn't take very much work to have it looking perfect again. So my question is, what's wrong with it then? To find out, let's test it for the first time. Okay, that is full power, and I thought to start with that was totally dead, but there's definitely some sort of life there, isn't there? And I've also noticed that my power LED is a lot duller than it should normally be, which tells me the loco is pulling a lot more current than it should be, so that's a bit worrying. But it's not turning at the moment. Obviously, that's not right at full power. Performance-wise then, there is the tiniest hint of something there, but it's certainly not what you would call a good runner. So quite a lot of mechanical work to do on this one. So let's find out how long I've got for this repair. Time-O-Matic, if you will. Crikey, 22 minutes. So this is one of the tightest time limits I have ever had to contend with on this show, and it means that there can be no messing about this time. Now the body is quite clean, which means I shouldn't have to take it downstairs and clean it, so that should save some precious minutes, but I still need to find out what's wrong with that mechanism and fix the problem very, very quickly. If there's anything unforeseen wrong with this, if the motor is faulty, or if there's a serious issue with the wheels, I'm not going to be able to fix it, and that's a problem. So wish me luck, I'll go and prepare 22 minutes. Remember, the rules are that I'm not allowed to shop online for any replacement parts. I can use parts that I already have in my own stores, or I can 3D print brand new ones, but anything made this way must be printed within the time limit. The princess then is ready for her operation, and I don't blame her for looking a little bit worried, because this is all going to be over in 22 minutes. That is shocking. But we've got to try, and I think I've done all I can in preparation. So, Time-O-Matic, please start the clock. And because I need to create some couplings, I'm going to start with the 3D printer again. I can't really 3D print just one coupling, as they never form properly on their own. If I do two or more, the parts are allowed to cool while the machine alternates between multiple parts, so two sets of couplings have to be made today. But of course this takes longer, so I have got them started nice and early. Let's get the body off then and see what we're dealing with, because I have not got long to service this. Hopefully the motor is fine. I haven't really got time to faff around replacing parts. So hopefully everything is fine and I can just give it a once over and sort things out. My priority now is to get to the motor. There's not much besides the motor that can really go wrong in these, so this is my prime suspect. Usually I would prefer to start taking measurements from the motor and check and verify that all of the coils are functioning as they should, but I just have not got time for that today. Yeah, there is zero time for it. Okay, the brushes are out, the brush spring is off. The wheel set seems to be fairly free, which shows there's not a major problem. Let's clean up the brushes then, make sure they're good and clean. The brush contacts will need a clean as well, and also the brush spring, so that can all get done in one go. And the commutator does look really dirty actually, so I'm guessing that could be a reason why this Loco isn't working properly. And I'll also have a look at the magnet in a second, because as you know, if the magnet gets weak, then the motor will not work. The commutator collects electricity that the motor can then use to spin itself, so it's really important that everything is perfectly clean to maximise conductivity. Okay, I think that's pretty much the best I can do with the commutator. Let's have a go at doing this spring. Okay, and the brushes, which don't look so worn out that they can't be used, so I'm hoping to reuse them. Okay, so those parts are now clean. Timer-matic, how am I doing? We have 17.5 minutes left, so that should be enough time to get the magnet recharged. So let's try and undo this nut. A weak magnet causes a motor to work inefficiently, thus drawing more current and getting hot. By recharging a magnet like this, the life of an old motor can be significantly extended. Okay, so I can put that screw and the nut back on the bottom, and then we can reassemble the motor with some lubricant, of course, and see if the thing works. I'm hoping it will. The problem is you can't really get a good clean on the commutator with the Dremel with these, because you end up touching the brush retaining mount on the top, and if you do that, you could totally destroy it. So yeah, it's not the cleanest commutator in the world, but I think it should be clean enough to work. That's what I hope. And a little bit of lubricant on the motor. Doesn't look like too much of a worn out motor, this, to be honest. I have seen quite a lot worse, even in this series in fact. Let's put the brushes back on, and then we can take a look at the chassis. And then I think the real pressure is going to be the 3D printer. I really need those couplings to hurry up, because I won't settle until I know I've got those ready. Anyway, let's test this motor, shall we? And hopefully it will turn. Yep, that seems like it's going to work. With the motor tested and working, there's some hope that this Loco can be salvaged, but there are still more parts to clean and service before it's likely to run reliably. Okay, let's take a look at the underside of the Loco, because we need to clean the pickups and lubricate the axles and also clean the wheels, but I can do that last step once the motor is refitted. Oh dear, yet again the aging solder of this 60-year-old locomotive has failed, meaning the pickup plate responsible for picking up electricity from the wheels has just dropped off. Oh, that's annoying. Why do these things always happen under pressure? That's so irritating. And I will have to resolder that wire in just a second then. But let's have a quick clean of the axles, which don't actually look too bad. Very good. Let's lubricate. Lubricate the axles. We'll also lubricate the coupling rods, because obviously they do need to be oiled, and they do look a little dry actually. Oh yeah, that's turning very, very freely now. Great. Let's make sure that gear is clean. And now let's pull this wire through and resolder it. Ideally, I'd like to replace all of the wiring inside a model like this, but that's just too time consuming, and so I'm just going to have to make do with all of the original wiring. So now I should be able to solder that on. Okay, and hopefully that will all work when I put it back together. Man, this is a rush. And don't forget, I've got to paint this thing. I've still got to touch up the smoke box and possibly even the buffers as well. And I've noticed that the 3D printer is still going, hasn't finished its couplings yet, so that might have to be one of the last jobs, I should imagine. The wheel's nice and free yet, the wheels are still free, which is great. At long last, the motor can be refitted to the chassis, ready for a fully assembled test. It will do a bit of running actually while I clean the wheels, so hopefully that will get it back to life. It's going to be a rude awakening, I should think. It hasn't got time to gradually come back to life. Right, let's get some power to this and see whether it is going to work. No, it's shorting. There we are. Alright, so the Loco's working. That's a lot better than it was to start with. Doesn't sound dreadfully happy, but it will either get better or there's a problem with the motor. But I just have to hope it gets better. Fortunately, the performance is improving quite noticeably, which tells me there's nothing seriously wrong here, apart from a serious lack of exercise. Okay, that should be a bit better. I did forget to oil the worm drive actually, so I'm going to do that, I reckon. So a little grease here should improve the performance even more. And it's going to have to start slow again. There we are. It's actually running really nicely now though, that's good. Right, I think that is wheels clean. So now let's just check, if I can, that we've got power to the wheels, because that's really important. And yes, we do. Great, that's good. With the model confirmed to be fully working, I can now move on to reassembly. And I think I'll do the little paint touch-up with the body on so that I don't have to touch the body afterwards. Hopefully that's a smart idea. Still waiting on the couplings. Oh, I think the couplings have just about finished. That's good news. Right, so we can get those on in just a second. Now then, let's touch up the smoke box area. So we've got some black paint to start with. We'll try not to spill the paint this time. I don't think that's always a great idea, really. Touch up any of these patches. There's quite a few of them. You always spot more issues when you come to paint something. A bit more on the front. And there's a little bit to do around the cab as well. We've got 6 minutes left, so this is actually not looking too bad. I would not have expected to have done this one as quickly as this. And let's see if I can fix that front buffer, because that missing chip of paint on the front buffer is right where you can see it. So if I can cover that up, that would be great. Okay, just carefully paint that front buffer then. Plenty of paint, because like I say, there's no time to do multiple coats. So that will have to do, I should think. With the paint applied and drying, I can now retrieve my 3D printed couplings. There is no screw on the tender, so I will have to find one of my own, but I don't think that will be a huge problem. Let's move the Loco. This is a coupling that I've designed. It's a 3D printed one that is a modern tension lock that fits onto a Triang Loco. I think I've found a screw. This should do, I reckon. Can I screw it in? The thread on the Loco is damaged, or on the tender rather. So this is probably not a great idea, but it is going in. Right, it's got a coupling. Let's finish off by just cleaning the wheels. I've also spotted a strange hard substance on one of the wheels, which will no doubt stop it from turning. It's like a hard white glue of some sort. Let's see if I can get that off. Might damage the wheels doing this, that would be a shame, but I'll try not to. There we go, it's probably flattened the wheel a little bit, but at least that rough area is now gone. Right, so Timer-matic, I'm done. I don't want to do anything else to this Loco now, so let's stop the clock at 2 minutes and 13 seconds remaining. And that is it, that is the Princess finished. Fully serviced, working again as far as I know, and the issues with the paintwork have all been touched up in literally 20 minutes. But will this Loco work on the rolling road in the workshop? That is the big question. Let's go and find out. So here is the Triang Princess Victoria locomotive back in the workshop after just 19 minutes and 47 seconds of repair work. She's just about ready to undergo that all-important final chuffing inspection, but first let's take a reminder of how this Loco looked before the repairs took place. The Loco actually did look pretty good. It was fairly clean, except it was missing the couplings on the back of the tender, and there were patches of paint missing from the Loco's body around the smokebox area, also around the buffer beams and the running plate. But the main problem was the performance. I was barely able to get anything out of this at all, which meant that the mechanism was the focus of the repair. And here is how the Princess looks now. Definitely a little bit better than she did. A lot of that cracked paint has now been repaired. Unfortunately, it doesn't look as good as I'd hoped because it's a matte paint and the original Loco was glossy. However, I do think the smokebox looks better now than it did when there was bits of green showing through. And of course, the tender now has a nice modern tension lock coupling fitted to it. Obviously though, cosmetically, this Loco was in decent condition to begin with. The main problem was that it didn't work. So let's initiate the final test to see whether I've been able to change that. Oh wow, core, that is 50% speed. How lively is that? So this locomotive is very much back from the grave. It was a great looking model to start with, and now it's a great looking model that runs well too. Really happy with that one. What a massive transformation. There's really nothing better than a vintage Triang Loco working perfectly, and that's exactly what this is. I'm very pleased with that. That Loco is running absolutely fantastically now, so much better than it was to start with. So I can pronounce that locomotive officially salvaged and also officially safe from the evil scrap man. Let's take another look at this season's leaderboard then, and as you can see, this Loco is in top place, so that is even faster than the previous repairs. Not too bad. It also means that this Loco is now fit to return to a model railway somewhere, and if you're interested in owning it, it is now listed on eBay, so you can visit the link in the description to get your chance of owning this Loco. For now though, job done, and I will see you next time on Salvage or Scrap.